This is Joy Roland, and you're listening to the It's Possible podcast. This is episode number 27, From Traumatic Brain Injury to $2.2 million in sales with Danielle Matthews. Welcome to the It's Possible podcast. This is the podcast that sparks the transformation of your money mindset, empowering you to pave the way for financial success and wealth creation. This is where we study what the wealthiest and most successful people do. Not only do we study these successful people, we implement what we learn so that we create the life we want and deserve. Hi there, my name is Joy Roland, your host. I created wealth from changing my money mindset. Yes, it's possible for you too. So pour yourself a cup of coffee or tea. This is going to be fun. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 27 of the It's Possible podcast. I'm so excited for you today. Why? Well, because I have a very, very special guest. My special guest on the show today is Danielle Matthews. The reason I'm so excited is because I've talked about Danielle a couple of times on this podcast, but today you get to hear directly from Danielle. You get to hear from the horse's mouth. Danielle has been tremendously valuable in my own transformation as a human being and as a coach. At the age of 23, Danielle was hit by a drunk driver and sustained a life altering injury to her brain. The medical world said there was no hope for recovery and told her to accept this life as a new normal. Although her body was physically impaired, her spirit was strong and she refused to believe their diagnosis. Her mind was determined to recover, and she did it. She's a testament to the concept of post traumatic growth and has since built an international business leading an organization that did $2.2 million in sales in 2022. She has also authored a book called Mind Control It's All in Your Head and shares a life authoring experience with countless people all over the world. Danielle chose to break free from the victim mentality and she decided to inspire others to do the same. She's a perfect example of everything I preach on this podcast, that it is possible. She didn't stay in victimhood and in victim mentality. She decided to go for more. I hope this episode inspires you and encourages you to take action. I am so excited for you to listen in on my conversation with the incredible, the amazing, the beautiful, the inspiring, my lovely friend and coach, Danielle Matthews. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the It's Possible podcast. I am super thrilled and so excited because I have the one and only Danielle Matthews with us today. She's our special guest. And the reason I'm so excited is because I've mentioned Danielle on this podcast a few times, and I'm so excited for the audience because they're going to hear from the horse's mouth. So, not from me, and they're going to learn from your wisdom, Danielle. So, welcome to the podcast, Danielle.
Oh, Joy, thanks so much for having me on.
Amazing. So, Danielle, why don't you start by introducing yourself and what you do?
I'd be happy to. So my background is interestingly in biology. I've always been fascinated by how the body works, but my life took an interesting turn out of college, and I sustained a brain injury that took me on a very different path. One where I learned a lot about, this journey of life on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level, and also how to help your body to heal itself. And so now, 11 years after that accident, I am an entrepreneur. I've helped thousands of people around the globe with their health through a product called Acia Redox. And I also teach people spiritual development and coach people on how to just become more internally and master the inner dimensions of life. Because I have found as an entrepreneur, that is where most other entrepreneurs struggle. And I would say even professionals, the inner dimensions of life are tricky. We're not taught how to manage that.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. So, for those of you listening, if you haven't heard my previous episodes where I talked about how I met Danielle, I'm just going to give a brief overview of how I met Danielle. So, I met Danielle on a podcast. So I was listening to a podcast where Danielle was the guest, and she talked about how she was hit by a drunk driver and she suffered a traumatic brain injury. And she had done series of surgeries and medical intervention. And it got to a point where the doctors told her this will be a new normal. And she just had to live with the injuries and all of the effects, all of the side effects. So she went on a journey to look for solutions to help her. And her mother came across this product called Asia Redox, which transformed everything for her. And it actually helped her heal physically from the brain injury. So when I heard this story, I'm like, what? How come I've never heard about this product? At the time, my brother, actually, he still suffers from some brain damage as a result of taking hard drugs. So he was involved in with bad guys in school and he was taking cannabis. Long story short, I wanted to give this product to my brother to see if it could help. But then I found out that the product wasn't available in my country. I'm from Nigeria. And so I'm like, okay, while I wait for the company to launch in Africa, why don't I take this product for myself? I started taking the product for myself. So this was in June. In April, I had taken a step back from work because my depression had gotten worse. So little did I know that this product would be the one to transform my life. And this has helped with my depression. My mood is great now. I'm so much more productive. And for those of you watching on YouTube, this is the product we're referring to. So I take this every day. I also take what we call the ASEAN mood, which also helps me. So I put it in in my bottle every day and I drink one sachet every day. So that's a little background of how I met Danielle. So when I had Danielle on the podcast, I'm like, I need to reach out to this girl. So I sent her a message on Facebook Messenger, and she has been my coach and she's taught me so much, so much. And so, Danielle, I know I just gave a very brief overview of your story there, but if you can please spend a few minutes talking about the accident you suffered. I know it might be traumatic to go back and talk about it, but I just wanted my audience to hear from you how that accident impacted your life and how ASEA Redux has helped to change all of that.
I'd be happy to. And, it's so funny. You never know. You get on shows, you share, you never know who gets to listen. And so for all of you listening, I hope that our conversation can impact your life in a similar way, in a positive way. And Joy, to kind of take everybody back, I had just finished teaching. When I graduated college, I did a program called Teach for America. So you teach in a low income area somewhere in the United States. And I was out in Denver, Colorado. I had just finished my second year of teaching and was home, kind of seeing friends, going all over the place for the summer. And one morning I woke up, it was 7 o'clock in the morning. I was leaving Baltimore City, going to meet my parents to go to a wedding. I mean, just like a typical day. And someone had been out the night before drinking. He was driving that morning, passed out and hit my car head on. And I fortunately was able to walk away from the accident. I looked okay. But it became very clear very quickly that something was very wrong with my brain. I wasn't able to concentrate. My mood had shifted. All of a sudden, I was very blunt, really like rude. I couldn't handle light. I couldn't handle noise. I felt like my head was going to explode. It honestly felt like somebody had a vice grip on my head. There was so much pressure. I was dizzy. Couldn't sleep, even though I was exhausted all the time because my brain just wouldn't turn off. I would get maybe an hour and then I'd wake up, another hour, wake up. And this went on for a little while. And eventually I got seen by a doctor who said, look, I think you've had an injury to the brain. You need to see a neurologist. And, the neurologist basically gave me the diagnosis, I guess you would say, of a mild traumatic brain injury. And I've always thought it was a funny diagnosis because it just sounds like an oxymoron. And I remember saying to them, like, well, there's nothing mild about what I'm going through. Like, I can't function. And they said, yes, but with brain injury, you're actually really fortunate. It could have been much, much worse. You could have had a bleed. You could be in a coma. Like, we try to get people to your state. And I said, yeah, but this isn't a state someone can function in. And they said, we know, but it should clear up. You know, with brain injury, it typically clears in a month. If it doesn't, then they say 3 months, then they say 6 months. And so I was just hopeful that these things would just, sort of self-correct. The body would self-heal. And I attempted to go back to work, very clearly couldn't handle it, and ended up losing my job. Because I lost my job, I ended up moving back in with my parents. And because I really couldn't function. I couldn't drive myself places. I would get panic attacks. It was not good. And we just focused fully on trying to get me healthy. And at my 1-year appointment with my neurologist, that's when they said to me, Danielle, with your type of injury, your body's done the healing it will do. And this is just your new normal. And you need to adjust your life to it. And, I was 24 years old when they told me that. And I just remembered thinking, like, there's no way, like, you're fired. Like, there has got to be a way that I can get myself healthy. And having had a degree in biology, I knew about neuroplasticity. I knew about the body's ability to heal itself, to want to seek balance. And I just thought, there's got to be a way. This guy just doesn't know the way. And it was an interesting moment, Joy, because, I had always sought answers externally, thinking, well, the answers are out in the world somewhere. And it was the first time in my life, and it was transformative, where I just went, they don't know. They don't know, and I'm not okay. So what can I do? And it really gave me pause to go inward, to realize that, look, my depression, my anxiety, the panic attacks, that was all something that I actually could find control over, because they were my internal thoughts. And so I went into more of a spiritual practice, trying to figure out how to master my inner world. And I finally was able to. And it's incredible, because as that shift happened and I was bringing myself to a higher vibration, right, one where I was in gratitude, where I was finding joy in the things that I could do rather than focusing on what I couldn't do, this was the same time that the answer to my physical challenges got attracted in. And it is just so incredible. People talk about, like, the law of attraction, the law of vibration. I didn't understand any of that, but I'm living proof that it works. Like, and I didn't know what I was doing, right? I just, out of necessity, I was trying to bring my emotions up, because I didn't want to be on this planet anymore. I mean, it's a dark thing to be told, this is permanent. You're going to feel terrible every moment of your life for the rest of your life. Like, what kind of life is that? And I just said, okay, something's got to give, and it's got to be me. And when I got myself shifted, all of a sudden we got a phone call. And that phone call was from a friend of my mom's. And she said, I've come across something. It's a breakthrough. It's a biotech company. And they have something that helps your body to communicate more efficiently at the cellular level. So it can find damage. So it can turn things on that have been turned off. So it can, activate things like glutathione with the NRF2 pathway. And, I had been taking intravenous glutathione because it's great for inflammation. It's great for dealing with, detoxing the body. And it's so funny, because I almost missed it, Joy. I always tell this part of the story because I thought it sounded too good to be true. And I was like, Mom, there's no way. There's no way this stuff is real. I would have heard about it in school, right? Like, well, I don't know anything about redox signaling. That's not a thing. And my mom said, no, Danielle, I keep hearing this company is just ahead of its time. The science is catching up to where they are. They're pioneering some of the science. And she said, this is just really unique. And she bought it. And she said, if you're not going to drink it, I'm going to drink it. Let's see what it does. So she did. And then my dad did. And they both had great results. My mom, she couldn't make a full fist. 6 weeks of drinking that stuff, she got full range of motion back in her hands. My dad, he'd had an injury to his knee for like 30 years because of football. He started drinking it 10 days in, was running further, rowing further, wasn't wearing his knee brace, said he had tons of energy. And they sat me down and said, Danielle, like, what if this is the thing that could help? Like, you've tried everything else. Why would you not continue trying until you find the thing that gets you better? And, we can't guarantee it, but it's safe. It's not going to hurt you. So, like, give it 6 months, see what can happen. And that's how I got into ASEA. And I'll tell you this, it didn't take 6 months. It was about 3 months in that I all of a sudden realized I was having energy, that I wasn't having to nap. I could concentrate again. The discomfort that had been just paralyzing in my head gone, has never come back. And
Wow.
as I've stayed on it, just my body has been able to regain that balance that I knew was possible, right? Because that's what is, the body is seeking that ideal optimum state of health. It just sometimes needs the right tools.
Oh, wow. That's such an amazing story, and it fascinates me every time I hear it from you, Danielle. So, I know my podcast is about making money. I want you to talk about how you were able to build a team that turned over $2.2 million dollars in sales last year. How were you able to do that?
Well, it's interesting, when you go through something like I went through, you start to look at life a little bit differently. And I think anyone that
Yes.
has been through trauma or has had, life kind of shake them, you realize, number one, we're here by a thread. Like tomorrow is not guaranteed. And so I couldn't unknow that, having been through this accident. And when I started to get my health back and I started to think about, well, what do I want to do in life? I realized a couple of things. Number one, I wanted to enjoy what I did, because if it was going to be my last day here on earth, yeah, it needs to be enjoyable. Number two, I wanted to have purpose. I wanted to help wake other people up to these ideas, right? That there is more, that their body can heal, that they can have optimum health, that, they can live a life that they love living. And I also wanted security financially, because when my accident happened, I couldn't work. Like I literally couldn't put in the time. And up to that point in my life, I had been taught you exchange time for money, right? And, you get a good degree so you can get more money for your time, but that's kind of the way of it. And ASEA is a network marketing company. And I didn't have very nice things to say about network marketing companies. I based
Like
on nothing.
most people, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny because my mom really pushed me on it because my mom saw it. She said, Danielle, I think ASEA can be a route for you. It could be an option for you. And I said, well, that's a sleazy industry. And she said, Danielle, what makes you say that? And it was funny. It was just, culturally, like I had just accepted that other people had told me it was a bad thing, but I'd never actually studied it myself. Well, so my mom said, come to a conference. Why don't you, with your own eyes and ears, go listen to what this is all about, talk to the people involved, and then make a decision? And I said, that's fair. Okay, I'll do that. So I went with her, and I was blown away because the founder of this company, his name's Tyler Norton. He spoke for 8 hours about the ethos, the soul of this organization. And the
Mm,
things he was talking about were the same truths that I had figured out through my recovery about just how to live a good life. Be present,
yes.
serve the person in front of you, express gratitude, see people as people, not as objects, keep principles and purpose above ego, above the economics of a situation, right? And I just thought this is the opposite, like literally the exact opposite of what I was expecting. No one talked about, fancy cars and this and that. But as I spoke to people, kind of like, well, is this real? He's just saying this from the stage. People that were making, over $1 million a year, right? I'm having conversations with them, and they have tears in their eyes because of the purpose of their work. They said every dollar I've earned is a direct reflection of a life that I've touched. And some of them had been the reason I found out about it. And I said, yeah, no kidding. That's a dollar well earned. Thank you for being a link in that chain. Because ASEA chose network marketing. It's not like a lot of these network marketing companies just, they decide they want to do that model and they try to find some product to push through that model. This is not that. This is the biotech company that said, hey, we want to get this out to market. They went the pharmaceutical route originally, but it became very clear that the pharma industry was going to buy and shelve their product. And so they said, we need another way to get it out. And it requires education. So they chose word of mouth. And I just went, well, that makes sense, right? That's logical. And I knew the result of the word of mouth chain, right? Who told who that told who that told who that we got the phone call that changed my life. And I thought, I want to be part of this. I want to have a ripple effect that can reach someone that I'll never know. And I think the seed with which you start something is important. I knew that I wanted to impact lives, and I think money follows, right? Money follows that. And so I knew I had a lot to learn. I didn't know network marketing. I didn't know business. I'm a scientist. Um, I didn't really have a network of people to talk to, right? I'd been sick for several years, and I just knew in my heart this was something I wanted. And so I learned. I just became a student of the industry. I read books. I found a mentor. I got coached on what to do every single day to move my business forward, and I just never stopped. In the first year, I earned hardly nothing. Like it was like, I was like, what am I doing? You know? And I told myself I'll give it a year. And after the end of that year, you know, I was like, well, this, whatever, this could maybe pay for like food for a couple of months. Like, what is this money? But I realized the industry works. I just don't. Like, I need to change. I need to grow. And I think most people don't self-reflect. They get into a network marketing company. And I think the reason it gets a bad rap is it's easier to blame the company, the model, the whatever, than yourself. But I realized, I looked in the mirror and I said, Danielle, you just have to get better. Like, you're just not very good at this yet. You know? And I dedicated myself to getting better. And I've just continued, and I've surrounded myself with people that have already made it, you know, that have already walked the path, that are earning 6, 7 figures in the industry. So I know that it's possible. So all I do is surround my brain with proof that it's possible. And then I just get better at my own skills, and I don't blame and I don't point, and it's a roller coaster. But I'll tell you what, I've achieved what I was after, which was the financial stability. If something were to happen to me, I would be okay. Money would still come in. I love what I do. It is like on a daily basis, I talk with inspired, excited people, or I can be hope for someone that's praying like I was, you know, 11 years ago. And that has just led to me finding other bright lights like yourself, right? People that also want more out of life. They want to have purpose. They have passion. They want to help. They also have the realization that they want flexibility with their time, and income doesn't have to be just one stream. Most of us have been taught like, oh, you just need to get a good job and that's where you get money. Like, have multiple streams of income. That was my goal for 2023. I said, I want multiple streams of income. And I was, you know, I was doing, just this last week, because I always do after Christmas, before the new year, I always look at, okay, what were my numbers? How did things go? How did it all turn out? How did it do with the goals that I set? And I had over 5 streams of income come in this year. And it's amazing how things just pop up. And when you're looking, you start to see, oh, well, that's an easy avenue. That dovetails in. Let's do that. Oh, okay, this makes sense. Okay, I can do this. It won't take too much time. You're like, there's give and take with everything. And some are better than others, but the network marketing just makes the most sense in the world to me, because this is an asset that will just continue to grow. And the better I get, the less I'm actually needed in the business. So my time frees up, and that ripple effect just keeps going. If people truly understood this, Joy, I think they would, you know, I heard somebody say they'd be breaking through brick walls to get this, but most people just don't get it.
Yes, so true. Most people don't get it. And you know, many people say that network marketing is personal development disguised as a business.
Yeah.
I personally have seen that for myself. I like to join the business. ASEA Redox is just $40, right? But see what $40 have gotten me so far. Look at the coaching I've received from you, the people I've been able to surround myself with as a result of joining ASEA Redox. I remember a few weeks ago when you were coaching me, Danielle. I think when I came, I was very, very edgy and I had all of these ambitions. And I remember I was telling you on the call that day that I wanted to make so much money so I can give my daughter a very good life. And you said something to me, I'm sure you must have forgotten now. And what you said just stuck with me. And you said, what if the process is the destination? Like, I'm like, wow, that's so profound. So that made me to relax and just enjoy learning the skills. And just that coaching you gave me that day, like, wow. So I've really learned a lot from you, Danielle. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time, and for I'm very sure I know I'm not the only one in your team, right? So for you to have poured into my life so much, I am just so grateful. Now, the other question I have for you, Danielle, is this. Some women listening right now to this conversation would say, well, I've tried network marketing in the past. Network marketing, I have to reach out to my family and friends and have awkward conversations. So I want you to speak to that, because I know you've built your business solely on social media, like just meeting people you didn't know before, right? Not your family, not your friends. So can you please address that?
I can. And to clarify, so I built it entirely in the cold market, but I didn't use social media at the beginning. My first 5 years in business, I just went around in my local community. So, and I am so grateful I did that because it taught me to take myself seriously as a business owner. I think
Mm,
network marketing, it's an at-home business. Like even the first chamber of commerce I went to said, "Oh, we don't allow those types of businesses in our chamber of commerce." And I said, "You got to be kidding me. How are you like discriminating against a business model? Like I'm just as much of an entrepreneur as the next person. Like what are you talking about?" And so I went to another chamber. And everybody has a chamber of commerce in their local community, and they just are a place for business owners to get together to help one another, like refer business to one another, just create good connections in the community, create referral partnerships, that kind of thing. And so I just dedicated myself to meeting as many people as I could because there's just thousands of billions, right, of people in the world. And I knew that they all needed to know what I knew. They just didn't know to ask me yet. So I had to go out there, meet people, learn confidence, talk about the becoming process. Joy, I got chills from head to toe when you said that because that's what it's about. It's about the
yes.
becoming. And so that first year when I said I didn't earn much money, I met so many people. My network got huge. And they say your net worth and your net work are like this. And so I started to meet these people that were thinking differently, that were doing different businesses, that had a different way of looking at life, that were willing to pour into me because they saw someone that was just at a newer stage in their business and said, "Danielle, how about this? How about this? Go here, meet this person." Like they wanted to help. And I wanted to help them. Like it was just this beautiful flow that I got into with this network of people. And eventually, people stopped laughing at me that I was like selling salt water. And they said, "All right, this girl like knows something." People that trusted first started to use the product. They started to see results with people that had been in this community for a long time. And they went, "Okay, this girl's credible. This stuff works." And I started to do events. I started to invite people. And I just got into a rhythm with my business because I treated it like a business, right? I was the force of
Yes.
momentum in my business. And then, the pandemic happened and I wasn't able to go out into the world as I had previously. And anytime a challenge happens, Joy, I just ask myself, what is this challenge making possible? And I sat with that question when the pandemic set in, and it was clear as day to me: social media, social media, social media. And I had resisted social media because during my recovery from my injury, getting onto social media caused a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression for me because I was comparing myself. I was comparing myself to my classmates who were getting PhDs, who were becoming doctors, who were doing all these amazing things. And I was, on the sidelines of life. And I just said no more. Like I can't feed myself that.
Mm,
So I didn't like consuming social media. But it was so clear, and like every part of me resisted it, right? I was like, "No way!" But my heart was like, "This is what you got to do." So I just started to show up online, and I said, "I'll be the positive light out there. I'll be the
yeah.
beacon. I'll be sharing things that will lift others." And the kind of content I'd want to see or would have needed to see, in my dark times. And in doing that, I also just started to network through social media. And I was like, wow, this is even more efficient than doing it in person. And I got to meet people globally. So that's when my business really just took off because my skill set had developed
Mm,
for 5 years: how to build relationships, how to connect with people, how to represent myself. And then you marry that with, the network of social media, and it just was able to explode. I think, in 7 months, my business did what it had taken 7 years to do. And that was, through other people, right? It wasn't just me. I just was meeting people that had skill sets that understood different social media outlets and could do more with it. So it's just really exciting. It's like a rocket ship ride, you know? Um,
yeah. And I think, Danielle, one of the reasons why you've been so successful is because you partnered with a company that has a unique product. So this is not just shampoo, conditioner, or toothpaste that we are selling, right? This is a biotechnology, it's a scientific product. And I think that's why many people are so interested. I'm just looking at my time. I cannot believe we have only 3 minutes left. I know you have another meeting to go to, but I still have tons of questions. So you definitely have to come back. So, my audience, the reason we are talking about this is because network marketing is one of the pillars of building wealth. So, I am invested in real estate, I have stocks, I have franchises I'm about to sign up on now, but network marketing is one of the pillars. So, ladies, you have to take this seriously. So, Danielle, one of the reasons why this opportunity is so unique is because ASIA is looking at new ways of doing network marketing. We have an amazing app. Can you just speak to that before we close? How there is a new way of doing network marketing. You don't have to convince your family, your cousins, your friends, and look like someone everyone has to run away from, right? So can you just speak to that, Danielle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll say this, once you start to really understand what we have our hands on, you'll feel responsible to tell the people that you love that you just get, they need to know that this is an option out there, right? It's about, to me, education. But I built my whole business with people that I didn't know. I teach people to do the same thing. And the company, sees that. They invested, I think, over $1 million in developing an app that is incredible. It feels like any e-commerce platform, top of the line today, where you buy online and you have access to that for just $40. You have this e-commerce engine that you're able to attach to that just comes with it. And it's simple. You can just send out information. The pages self-educate people. If they want to ask questions, there's a direct little chat that comes straight to you. It's really smooth. So, we're moving into a new era. I think the IT is now catching up with some of the things that are now commonplace in our world. Like IT moves so fast. With AI, this next year is going to be crazy for all of us. But it's a beautiful space to get involved with. If you're looking for a company that is unique in the marketplace, 14 years, they still have the competitive advantage. Nobody else has this technology. No one else is creating anything like it. Universities are now reaching out to them to do research with them because they realize what they have their hands on and what it's doing. Some of these researchers, like literally, they didn't believe the results that they got. They ran a test again, didn't believe it again, ran it again, and then called the company and said, "We don't understand how you can possibly be getting the results that you're getting. This is unbelievable. This is unprecedented." That's what we have our hands on. And it's amazing. So I'm grateful that you brought me on here to talk a little bit. I'm always happy to come back. Anytime with you is always wonderful.
Yeah, so ladies, you have the unique opportunity to get coached directly by Danielle when you join her team. Like, I cannot stress how amazing that is. So, Danielle, can you just tell us how can people reach you?
Social media is the best way. I'd say Instagram, it's just my name, Danielle Matthews, with an underscore on either end, or on Facebook. I'm friends with Joy. You can search us there. But we'd love to work with you. Joy is incredible as well. What I would say is you get both of us.
Yes.
You get the coaching from both of us, and it's a beautiful thing to be involved with.
Okay, so ladies, I'm going to add the links to Danielle's social media in the show notes. I have to let Danielle go, but I promise you, ladies, I'm going to bring her back. She's very hot commodity, but I'm going to try my best to get in a calendar and bring her back because she can tell us more about her inner management mastery program. Like, that is a whole new ball game, and I'm so excited for you ladies to learn directly from Danielle. Thank you so much, Danielle, for your time today.
Of course, Joy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If this episode encouraged, inspired, or taught you something new, please do me a huge favor by leaving me a review. Just head on over to Apple Podcast, find the show, go to the main page of the show, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see a section where you can write me a review. And lastly, come on over to my Facebook group where you get support as you build wealth. This is an exclusive group of high-achieving and ambitious women actively working on getting rich. Find the link to the group in the show notes. I hope to see you back here soon. God bless you.